Greetings and welcome to Rebel Moon. Now then, someone says to me, what do you mean by thinking out the box? Well, I'll tell you, shall I? It's called critical thinking these days. I think that's the wrong. We also call it parallel thinking as well. And what it is simply a form of independent thinking from what you're being told to believe by the mainstream media and the liars in suits. You know, the one that's some ugly people who masquerade as politicians so they can legally plunder the wealth of the people. In a nutshell, of course. Now, it's simply about going another step beyond where the sheeple and drones stop thinking. Once they've swallowed the lies, hook, line and sinker, that's when you think, right, it doesn't sound right this, and so you go up to another level. And you start having a look of all the things that they're not telling you. And I'll just give you a little heads up, guys. These people I'm talking about who just get all their information off the mainstream media, it's a complete waste of time and energy trying to reason with them. So don't even waste yourself. There's a bit of good advice for you. Now then, I'm going to give you a little instance, okay? What we're seeing here, what people are distracted with, is the government and not who's behind the government. Now, the latest hoo-haws, you probably know all over the world by now, in the UK, is talking about something that most of us has known for, at least spring last year. Come on, I mean, let's stop beating about the bush here. Truth is truth. What's wrong with the truth these days? But as we know, you see, the so-called media sometimes catches up with our truth 6 months or a year later. Not always, but sometimes. And that's only when they can't avoid the truth any longer because it's all around the internet. Now, that being, of course, what we're talking about is an exposure of Boris the Fifle Johnson, who I've been having a dig at since before he came into power, because I warned people, if he gets in, this country is going to go to hell, and it has done. Not quite in hell yet, but we're doing pretty good getting there. And he's, Boris the Fifle, I mean, he's the Muppet MP, and all his acolytes, like the so-called Health Secretary, Matt Poppycock, and they're getting exposed for the serial liars they are. You're seeing this, you've seen it yesterday with Dominic Cummings. This is Boris's chief advisor who got fired, and now he's coming back for revenge, and he's spilling the beans and he's singing like a damn canary, and really damaging. And the rest are going to deny it, obviously. But this bent media, it acts like it's some great revelation or scoop of the year, which either proves how stupid or dumb the media is or how dishonest they are. Take your pick, it can only be one or the other. Now, this Matt Hancock, the so-called Health Secretary, now you've heard me have digs at him in the past. He's the guy where you look at him and it looks like the lights are on but there's nobody home. It looks like he's got some kind of mental issues, I don't know. But, he's not right in the head, that's all I can say. Yeah, everybody knows it. It's not just me picking on, I'm just telling you what I see and what I hear other people say. But it's his turn to get roasted today, and that should be fun. It'll be like watching a comedy, because you can bet your bottom dollar that it will turn into an absolute shambles, and you don't need a bloody crystal ball to predict it, my friends, I'll tell you that now. This is the same guy who cannot admit that he's been wrong. That's why you can say he's not just a sociopath, he's a narcissist as well. There's something not right in his head. He was questioned live on national TV, the same question 6-7 times, and it was, will you admit that you made a mistake? And he would not admit it. He just kept changing the subject. I'm trying to roll the vaccine out for this, and I'm too busy for this. Anybody who can't admit they're wrong has a serious mental problem. And if you've got a serious mental problem, you should not be in a high position where you can mess people's lives up and bankrupt the country. But we have two nutters in charge. We've got Boris, who really should be in a straitjacket with his mate in a padded cell. But it's all going to come out. You see, people don't believe you until you have to show them these days, and they're all going to be shown, right? But this Dominic Cummings is throwing Boris under the bus, and Boris is now throwing Matt Hancock under his bus, because that's what these privileged little turds do. They throw each other under the bus and backstab each other when something goes wrong. So that's what I say. It's just we have to kind of put up with it until they backstab each other, because they're all eating themselves when with him. The whole agenda is eating itself. It's just we hope they eat themselves before they can do too much damage, because all these countries, it's going to take us years and years to rebuild. But anyways, like I said, what it's going to do today is demonstrate to a blinkered British public what we've been trying to point out for goodness knows how long. They are not fit to serve in any public capacity, nor indeed are any of their yes men and women. Oops, I forgot. It's being sexist, you can't say them. Them. You can't say a she, you've got to say them now. It's a load of bollocks, I'll say what I want. Anyway, like I said, because it's sexist now to distinguish between male and female. This according to the lunatics who are poisoning and destroying our society with this stuff. Just ignore them. Just ignore them. You say he, say she. There's two sexes in this world, there's male and female. You can't start saying that we cannot say that, but this is the way it's going, and this is why people have to wake up and say, no, stop, enough's enough. Now then, like I said, it's going on behind the scenes, and you're going to see them all being exposed. Like I've been saying to you, this year and into next year, you're going to get a lot of revelations, and it's going to shock the hell out of a lot of people. Shock them right down to the little cotton socks. But that's what people need to wake the feck up. Now then, in a few months' time, you see, you could end up in the gulag if you say he or she, if they get this through. If you say it to the wrong little woke snowflake. But like I said, stuff that nonsense, because it's a barrel of monkeys, isn't going to happen. But it just gives us an idea that these people who are supposed to be ruling the country standing by and letting all these idiots take over. It's honestly mad. Now, I'm not going to go on about the Boris and his dickheads anymore, because, you see, that's what I'm trying to demonstrate here. You're focusing on the government, right? That's what the media is making you focusing on. But remember, a prime minister, like a president or a chancellor or any leader of a country, is merely a figurehead for a government. So basically, they're like a CEO of a company. Did you know every government is a business? Did you know that? Go and check it out. If you're in Britain, go and check Conservative Party out at the Company's House, and you will see who actually does it. I think Alistair Darling, I think he was a director of the Labour Party. Just go and check it out. They are companies. People have to do that. Countries are judged as companies these days, by the elites and by the way the system works. Anyways, what they all are, all these scruffy little gits in suits and scruffier and the rest of it, they are merely puppets who have the strings pulled by the elite factions who work from the shadows, but, my friends, also hide in plain sight. Now again, I can't speak for other countries or republics, but Britain is still a monarchy. It's also supposed to be a sovereign country, but it's not yet. People think that this Brexit thing is over. We are not a sovereign company, and Boris is still stabbing the fishermen in the back, for instance, over Europe. I mean, sovereignty is when you say, no, get stuff, come near our fish, take our fish, we'll sink your ships, end of story. But no, they're still giving them. So these bloody gets from France and Spain are still coming over here, stealing our fish and selling it back to us. That's a nice little herb if you can get it. You see what I mean? And I'm sure they're embarrassed about it, but they can't do nothing because the Prime Minister is not in charge. He's a mouthpiece, end of. Now then, what's happening here, right? Britain is still a monarchy, even though it's made up from a dysfunctional German squatters whose black nobility bloodline stretches back to Vlad the Impaler. And he was a nasty piece of work, as his name suggests. And he was also a distant blood relative. This is Vlad the Impaler. He's a distant blood relative of the illegitimate Queen Elizabeth II, who the character Dracula was based on. Not Queen Elizabeth, Vlad the Impaler. Oops, I'm just trying to get away with something there because I did let it slip, didn't I? That the Queen of England is illegitimate. Oops, yes, I believe I did. And what's more, they can't sue me for it because it's bloody well true, as will be revealed at some point in the future. But I'm not going to go into that today. Just take my word for it and I'll bring you up the evidence later. But this royal brood, right, they've been winging it for decades as British royals. And I'll repeat again, you know, you Americans and stuff, you think that we you know, all the Brits love the royals. I'll tell you what, most of them can't stand them. Most of us cannot stand them, that is the truth. It's all, again, media bullshit, right? Now then, this royal brood, they've been winging it for decades, right, as posing as British royals, by hiding behind the name of Windsor. But the original real name is Saxe, Coburg and Gotha. That is the house they're from, the black nobility house. That's what they do. That's how they used to go. Don't forget, they go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, these things, right? But if you remember, like it's like the old days, you don't call the king or the queen by the name. You know, it's like the King of Spain, the Queen of England. That's how they do it. But what happens, they had to adopt this name, and I'll tell you for why. They couldn't call themselves Saxe, Coburg, Gotha, right? The family name had to go and undergo a really radical change, and that was a result of an anti-German feeling during the First World War. Don't forget, the First World War was started by the relatives of the royals as well, Princess Victoria's cousins. That's why it all kicked up. Now, the name Windsor was adopted after the castle of the same name. They tried to say that's one of the names, but it's not. But they were named after Windsor Castle. And why? Because they're a bunch of sneaky, two-faced, low-life bastards who live off the British taxpayer like the blood-sucking little parasites and leeches they are. Ooh, sue me, throw me in the tower. Truth is truth, guys. You know, you can't condemn somebody for telling the truth. Go and check it out, right? Please, no more trolls and, oh, stop picking on the Queen and that. You know what I mean? Hey, I won't pick the Queen. You go away and go and pick your nose, all right? Go and do your research before you open your stupid mouths. I've had enough of them people, trust me. Right? You see, this is it, you see. Past generations have been brainwashed into believing the royals is something special, to be respected. Yeah, they're special, all right, but not in the way that commands any genuine respect. Do you get me? Especially from decent people who can see right through the illusion, like me and millions and millions and millions of others. Now, this isn't about the dysfunctional royals per se, okay? Again, it's about people hiding in plain sight. Who, do you know what I mean? They're like actors. They go, oh, look at me, I'm a nice person. Behind the scenes, they're right bastards. And this is about how the Queen Liz stays above all the political controversy, as is what's going on now, and other government scandals, as is leaking out now, as if she's somehow detached from the whole process, when it simply is not true. Britain is a monarchy, and the government serves the Queen or King before it serves the people, because the people are the subjects, not the boss. This is why the monarchy has to go. Now, whichever one of the two political party wins the election, which it really doesn't matter because they all obey the same people, that's just like, yeah, your party won, mine lost. It's a load of bollocks. They all work, they're all controlled by the same people, elite factions pulling the strings, right? But nevertheless, that party still has to get permission from the Queen to form a government, right? For that very reason, And we know that, we've seen all that, we see it every time. Boris now has to go to Buckingham Palace to get permission off the Queen to form a government. You have to have permission off the Queen. Can you get what I'm saying? In other words, she is in charge of this country, not the damn government. They're all the Queen's men. All these people that are screwing things up are the Queen's men. Now I can see why people are confused about the Queen's role, because although the royals are not supposed to poke their noses into politics, hey, they do it all the time by stealth. They do it all the time. Charles is doing it now with his global reset and climate change. He should keep his damn nose out and go and talk to his plants, go and hug a few trees or something. But nevertheless, a few weeks ago, the Queen addressed her subjects, of which I might add, and I must make perfectly clear to you all, I am not one of them, and I never have been. I am not a subject of these creatures down in London masquerading as demigods or whatever they think they are. It's ridiculous, right? The stuff she's stolen is incredible. I've covered that before on the old podcast, so I'm not going to go into it. But successive governments have cooperated with the palace for hiding all the Queen's true wealth. And she is loaded. They go on about Bill Gates and all that, I'll tell you. I'll bet she's lot. But she's also a puppet of the Rothschilds as well. So, so anyway, like I said, we won't go too deep into that. But she there on TV, I saw the clip, she was giving orders and instructions to her government about freedom of speech and the 5G internet, amongst other things. But it was the freedom of speech I was interested in, the 5G, because they're both things that we've covered before. We know free speech is at threat. Now, some people think, oh, she's protecting free speech. It's a load of bollocks. This is what I mean, how sneaky they are. The kind of free speech she's talking about is not the kind we believe in, that we get banned off social media for saying and things like that. It's a double-barrel piece of bullshit. And what it's doing, what they mean by free speech, is giving more rights to these politically correct snowflakes and the new so-called woke zombies who don't even know their eyes from the elbow. And it's like that, what I mentioned last time, about there's a bloody plague of rats going on, mice in Victoria, and this PETA, these animal people, they want to catch and release the mice. The mice need to exterminate. There's bloody millions and millions of them, and they want to catch them and go and put them somewhere else and let somebody else have the problem. You know what I mean? That's what all this bullshit is protecting. And we real people in real world, not la land, have to start standing up and say, look guys, you can do what you want, right? You can come out with any crap that you want. We don't care. You can keep inventing different sexes and transgenderism and all the rest of it, but leave us the feck alone, because it isn't going to happen in our world. You don't like this country, pack your bags and feck off to La La Land, wherever that is. That you can find it in California right now, which is a shame. I used to love that place, but there you go. The world's changing, and that's what happens when you turn your back on them and just leave them and let them go. You turn around, before you know it, they're taking over your society, and people now have to start old school and say, no, we're not doing, no, stop, don't talk crap, go away. So if anybody tries to do that elbow thing as an high five, just leave them hanging, just walk off, just, smirk at them and walk away and just mutter something like, you dickhead. Right? But here we go. Now, here's what I'm interested in, right? I just found it a very odd speech. Why is the Queen pushing 5G technology when it's still steeped in controversy about safety concerns? Why is she doing that? I haven't got a clue. Well, I do. But there's a funny thing, isn't it, guys? You see, there's the Queen saying on TV, yet not long ago, we get a lot of flack for questioning 5G. And even though we are only repeating warnings coming from independent experts on a professional level, And they were more about the 5G was the Chinese 5G was more industrial strength. It was not real 5G. It was something like 100G or 50G or something. It was bad. Now we hear the British are busy ripping out 5G technology that was connected to the Chinese company, that Huawei. And I didn't buy that. I'll tell you why in a second. Now, I've mentioned this before. In America, they did the same. And Donald Trump cottoned on. And he, within weeks, right, he had that stuff ripped out of every American company. And that's a huge task. And they compensated the business for the process as well. Paid for all the new stuff and compensated them for business loss. But he said, oh, these are just on the main ones, that it has to be ripped out because they're part of our communication system and there's supposed to be a lot of malware and spyware in there, blah, blah, blah. Well, we've got it here. It's all over. They've got it in Australia as well. They've got it all over the damn place. Now, listen, I complained about this last year because it's only at what they call the decision state, right? You see here, they're saying, oh, you're ripping out, the British are busy ripping out 5G technology. No, they're not busy. If they are, they're moving like, the speed of a snail, right? Because the decision is to rip out this Huawei, how do you pronounce it, Huawei, equipment from UK 5G networks by 2007. I've done a podcast on this ages ago. 2007. Even the village idiot won't swallow that one because most of the dumbed down public will, so go figure. How can it take you 6 years to rip it out? How long has this 5G been in? It's a load of bollocks. They've no intentions of ripping it out whatsoever. And I've got a feeling, as we'll mention after, that the Chinese are compromising some power here and they're going to leave this stuff in. They're just saying it's going. I mean, if Donald Trump can do that within, 6-7 weeks, I think it took him, why do we have to wait 6 years before it's all gone? Like I said, the village idiot won't even swallow that one. I mean, 6 years' time, come on, let's get damn serious here. What is wrong with people? Do people have brains anymore? Is it just us? Are we just a small section of society that's being separated from these idiots, And the scary thing is, these are people that we know. They're not people we read about. These are friends and family who just don't seem to be functioning anymore. But but thing is, right, this is the same government. It's like this government inquiry about all these mistakes made. It's all coming out now. We've seen them, all this vaccine rollout, everything, lockdowns. It's all been a sham. It's gone on far, far too long. Right, now it's coming out, let's say, if they'd done herd immunity, it would have been over by September or something, I think they're saying. But here we are a year later, still, headed up to September again. But here the thing is, that is going to be years, right? 2000, this is what they've said. Right, King Boris and his lunatics have agreed to a government inquiry, but it won't take place until 2022. 2022. Why? Because the powers that be, or Boris, will be long gone by then and most likely immune to prosecution and electrocution. Well, if they bring that back, I wish they would, but there you go. Anyways, look, this is the thing, right? Isn't it funny? It's funny. And I've said many things in the past and I've taken flack for it because the media brainwash people, don't believe it. Now they're listening to that same stuff like a year, 2 years later, coming from the media. Now they have to believe it because that's what they believe, the media. Time, my friends, is a great revealer. That's why I don't bother. You say something's going to happen and people don't know it can't happen. Just leave it. Bide your time. The truth always comes out in the end. Because the truth is like water. It can seep into anywhere eventually. And you know something? What water can't seep into, it can wear down over time. Now my point is that all the hoo-ha about the way the government's handled the pandemonium and the incredible amount of lies that are now being exposed has thrown old Boris the liar and his goons into the limelight. and they don't like it. And that's while the royal brood hide in the shadows. Don't forget, he's covering for the Queen. So while the blinkered masses remain blinkered to anything outside the media, I'm more interested in what's going on with the failing monarchy. Because you are seeing the end of the monarchy now. Thank the lords, the stars, the gods. Thank anybody, because it's something we all want. We want to get rid of these fools. You think about it, right? The Queen is trying a last desperate attempt to keep the monarchy alive, so where hers can continue to parasite and freeload off the British people for generations to come. They're already having kids, aren't they? The young princes have ferried out kids like nobody's business. It's all an attempt to save the monarchy. Right? But I'll remind people what I've already said for many moons now, meaning years and years and years. The British monarchy is finished as a power once the Queen pegs it. Once she pops her clogs and goes down to the hot place to see old Hob. And that's where her husband Phil the Greek went not long ago. I mean, these creatures of a so-called elite bloodline, really black nobility, they may be able to fool, most of the people some of the time, but there are forces of nature that they can't fool for one single second, and those forces of nature will take them down when the time is right. But I think we're going through an unusual period of history where it's not kind of happening right away. I think people have to be shown. I keep saying that, and I've been hearing other people mention it as well. Why aren't people waking up? They have to be shown. So all this stuff that they've been told for years, and they've gone, oh, that's a load of rubbish, and I don't believe that. Suddenly, boom, you are. And the truth shall set you free, brothers and sisters. God save the Queen. For Christ's sake, give me a break. No God that ever existed would want to save such a dark, dysfunctional brood as the royals and the black nobility of Europe and the rest of the elites. Let's not forget, right? We're in Britain now. This is her government. Boris is working for her. It's her government. They act on her behalf to serve the people. Serve the people. That's another good one, isn't it? I haven't seen any public service from these allegedly public servants ever. But I reckon we've all seen the opposite with the dystopian rule that we've all been subjected to by our individual oppressors posing as governments. Like I said, this is not special to Britain. This is every country in Europe, America, Canada, Australia. Police down there are kicking off again. Like I said, it's all coming, you watch. There's this bigger something going on, and all these people, they can sense the time is nigh. They don't like it. And they think by controlling people and doing all this to us, it's going to somehow save them. It's like all this bullshit, like all this extra thing and, taxes. How's taxes? How are taxes? How are money going to change the climate? How are they going to stop it? How can money stop anything? Printed money. When you're dealing with forces of nature, you need other forces of nature to deal with it. Not bloody paper, crappy, toy town monopoly money, which passes as, assets these days, I don't know, right? But it's the Queen. Why is she stood there, right? Queen Liz, or whatever she calls herself, she stood there for almost 2 years and watched her so-called subjects subjected to anti-human treatment and anti-human laws with fines and things like that, just for going out with some fresh air. And I'll tell you, these laws, my friends, border on crimes against humanity. You know they do. I know they do. So start opening your mouth and voicing your opinion. This government and other governments like in Europe and keeping people locked up, they are committing crimes against humanity, and they should be arrested. They should be removed from power and arrested. Not allowed to resign and disappear like that. idiot at the BBC. That guy should be dragged into a court of law, and he should be tried and he should be jailed. But just because he's the next director of the BBC and he's got friends in high places, this stuff has to stop. This one law for them and another law for us. It's got to stop, and it will do, because they're eating themselves from within. They're eating themselves. Trust me, you're going to see a lot with it the next 6 months to 8 months. But this cow down in London, right, you know, she did the same with Her Majesty's police force. The police and the prisons, what do they say? HM before them, Her Majesty's. Her Majesty's prison, Her Majesty's police, Her Majesty's forces, right? They all serve her, right? So the police, let's just take the police, right? Which now the police force in England is just basically made up of a bunch of pricks and losers and PC snowflakes, as in police constable snowflakes, but also political correct snowflakes. And you know something? I hate cowards, because they can only pick on the vulnerable, because they're scared of folk who will indeed tell them to feck off and fight back. I won't take any messing off them. Or these little security dickheads as well that's come to Providence for acting like coppers in supermarkets and that. I tell them where to get off, and they back off. They can only pick on vulnerable people because they're cowards. All bullies are cowards. You know that. I know that. I mean, it takes 6 to 8 coppers to arrest a woman. What was she, about 5'2"? Must have been about 60 pounds or something in weight, if that. You know, 6 to 8 coppers to take her down. And she wasn't even struggling. But that's how many it takes for them. 6 to 8 coppers to arrest a weakling. That's why they don't go near a big boy who's got a bit of muscle on him and looks like a bit of a Jack the Lad, because they know they're going to get their noses and jaws broken. They're always getting hurt. They're always getting hurt, and then they take time off. What they're not telling you, it's one person. They say, 5 officers have been injured. It's one person that's done it, but they don't tell you they're on TV. You have to get it elsewhere. So once again, you see, like the army, the police, it's Her Majesty's force. Why has she stood back and watched her own subjects getting beat up and pepper sprayed and arrested and fined up to £10,000 just for demonstrating? That is not democracy. That is not a monarchy. That is, what is it? It's communism, some kind of communism, I don't know. Anyway, you know, like I said, she doesn't do nothing, right? What she said about mistreatment, about the past mistreatment that she's seen of her subjects. Diddly squat, that's what. Not one word. And next minute she pops up, oh yes, you know, my government's going to push 5G, and yes, we're going to push 5G, and then we're going to do the other thing. Oh yes, of course we are. You know, it's honestly, they really make me want to puke, these entities. They are not people, they are entities. They are low-life dregs hiding behind all the pomp and circumstances. Same with these idiots, politicians. Take the suits off them, put them in jeans and a t-shirt. Like Matt Hancock, if you met him on the street, you would seriously think that he had learning difficulties. Because like I say, you look at his eyes, the lights are on, but there's nobody there. He's like, you know, there's something wrong with the guy. And they shouldn't be in power, they should be getting treatment, right? Now then, say, what they do, the royals, they hide behind respectability in a futile attempt to cling to power. They say, no, this is nothing all to do with us. Yes, it is, you bitch. These are supposed to be your subjects. I'm not your subject. I can look after myself. But these are your subjects, the vulnerable, that are getting picked on and beat up and fined and thrown in jail. And you sit there on your big fat royal ass doing diddly squat while your time is coming, and your royal brood as well. You know it as well. It's the end. And you can take that as a prediction, my friends. 100,000 million%. It's the end of the monarchy at last. Long time coming, but it's coming. Okay? But hiding behind respect, you see, that's what annoys you. Hiding behind respect. We should, you know, respect to people, it gives them a bad name. You know, we were genuine people. You know, because, you know, between her and her much flawed offspring, I reckon it's beyond repair. which means the next generation won't give a monkey's who the royals are anyway. They're trying all that now. That was the idea with Prince Willie and his the bloody the other one. But now they're at war as well. Can you see? You know, there's an interesting thing here as well, right? They say, I might have mentioned this before, but I'm going to run it by you again. They say that these wealthy families lose their wealth after 3 generations. Isn't that weird? Because, you know, the others are born with money, they don't have to earn it, so they don't respect it enough. Then they spoil their kids, and their kids don't even, you know, they don't care about it even more. And next minute, bang. So every 3 generations, 90%, that's a lot, that, 90% of wealthy families lose that within 3 generations. Now, that looks like it's happening with this generation, with the royals as well, where it's splitting up. Okay, right? But like I said, the future generations, the kids of today, they're not going to give a monkeys about the royals. And meanwhile, we see Prince Wingnut Charles pushing this climate change and the global reset agenda, which is basically designed to throw society back to the medieval times. That is what they're trying to do. Like I said, go to the WAF forum and you'll see what I mean, and listen to old Greta Thunberg and the rest of them. They're going to have you with horse and cart soon. And all this pushing this electric vehicles as well. Where does the electric come to recharge those cars? It comes from fossil fuels. unless they are using Nikola Tesla's free energy and charging it for us. That is also another option, but we'll deal with that another day. But what I'm going on about now is what they're doing. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. And you know me, guys, I'm not exaggerating here. This is a modern version of the old feudal system. Just step back and have a look what's happening. You know, do you know there was another 9 billionaires have been minted since this virus started, this lockdown scam? 9 billionaires and a lot more millionaires. Nothing before, and they've made millions out of this misery that the world has been through. Can you see what I mean? It's a ruling class and us. And they're doing away with middle class, what I said years and years ago. We can see that happening now. We can see that happening with this virus. A lot of people are losing their homes and their jobs and their businesses. But that's what they're doing. People have to wake up and see it. That is how insane and out of touch they are. It's a modern version of the old feudal system. Go on the WEF site. Oh, it's going to be a lovely world and no more thing or anything. But yet they're not telling you that they're still raping the ground for oil and fossil fuels to get you into this new thing. It's like the Bitcoin. That uses hell of a lot of power as well. That is really, really anti-climate, right? Bitcoin. The amount of electricity it takes to mine and produce that stuff is incredible. Check it out, right? But this is what they're doing. They're trying to get this feudal system going where the privileged rule again with an iron fist and the people are reduced to peasantry. That is what's happening, to the point where you have to obey. And that's how insane and how out of touch they are, and that's leading to the downfall. And then you got, the shenanigans, Randy Prince Andrew. He's already demonstrated to the world that he's not only another serial liar, but he's off his head. And we won't go into his bizarre and predatory behaviour. Suffice to say that he's now above the law and untouchable. Or is he? It may be for now, but he won't be. You watch. And then you've got the other one, old Ginger Top Harry, who's gone woke and postal since he found out most folks believe he's actually Major James Hewitt's son. That's the guy who had an affair with his mother, Diana, and that he's not the royal son of Prince Big Ears. And I think someone's told him. I mean, look, it's a bit of a running joke in this country. Don't be shocked about that, right? He's got ginger hair just like Major J. He's spitting image of him. It's a running joke because he doesn't look anything like Prince Charlie. He's spitting image of Major Hewitt, right? And it's one of those whispered things where they say, don't say anything, but I don't think he's Charlie's boy, arf arf. Anyways, you see, it's all splitting up, and he's not doing himself any favours, you know. It's all coming apart. So the moral of this story, my friends, is this. The whole illusion, not just with the royals and what have you, the whole illusion is going to crumble as we start getting into September and October. The whole illusion is gathering for a fall. Not just about the royals per se, but the global rule of the so-called elites themselves. They know the old monetary system is failing. It has been doing for a long time. That's why they have to keep, tweaking this and tweaking that. They know the world's changing fast and they're struggling to keep up with it. But more importantly, they're struggling to maintain power. Hence these draconian measures that we've all seen around the world. And I'm also wondering if this government and the Queen Bee is being compromised by outside sources, as I mentioned before, over Prince Pervert Andrew, who is said to be her favourite son. Now, since he broke his promise and he's refused to cooperate with the Americans, FBI, over his pedo buddy, now I'm just wondering now if the Chinese have something on him. Because we know damn well he's told the FBI to, he said on the interview, yes, I'll cooperate and blah, 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 and he hasn't. He don't set foot in America because he knows he'll end up in jail or, well, let's see, right? But I'm wondering if the Chinese have something on him as well in the way of blackmail. And who knows and who cares, but if they have, there could be something to do with this 5G not getting ripped out quick enough. Because this is the dangerous 5G we're talking about, not the ordinary 5G. But anyway, it's nice to know that, although things don't look good, my friends, there are other things going on behind the scenes like you wouldn't believe. And there are a lot of attempts going down to bring down the elites and the black nobility of certain bloodlines who've been manipulating the world for their own gain and interest for far, far too long. So, my friends, I'm going to leave it there. You see, there are many stories in the naked jungle, and this is merely one of them, with many more yet to be revealed. I shall see you on the wind.